You know, I think this apartment here in Malta is one of the nicest we've stayed in so far.
Yeah, but it's also one of the most expensive.
If you're new to our channel, I'm Gillian.
And I'm Stephanie. We're a couple who retired early, sold everything we own, and now we travel full time. And we want to inspire you to have more freedom and more adventure in your life.
A big welcome back to all of you to another episode. Today is part of an ongoing series where we bring you inside our travel lifestyle. So last month we shared with you how we pick our destinations. And if you missed that one, you can check it out in the description below. This week is all about how we choose our amazing Airbnbs.
So part of the time we're going to show you around our current apartment, and the rest of the time we're actually going to take you outside for a tour of our neighborhood. This is kind of a new format for us, so let us know how you like it.
You all know by now that we love living in beautiful spaces no matter where we are in the world. You usually get a peek at them in our monthly cost of living videos, but we know that you have a lot of questions about how it is that we choose our apartments and what we look for. So we're going to answer all those questions for you today.
We're going to talk about our nice to haves and our non-negotiables when we're choosing our apartments. We're also talking about what we look for on the inside and also on the outside. And we're going to do a reality check about the cost of our Airbnbs.
As you all know, we're not on a 2-week vacation. We are slow traveling with no permanent home anywhere else in the world. So we live in a new apartment in a new destination almost every month.
And we always choose an apartment over a hotel for a few reasons. So first of all, we love having a kitchen to cook our own food. So that's a necessity.
We love having the space of a whole apartment versus just a room in a hotel.
We also find that having an apartment just makes it feel more like a local experience instead of being a tourist.
And last but not least, renting an apartment makes a lot more sense financially than staying in a hotel.
It's been quite a journey to figure out what's most important to us. When we first started renting Airbnbs in our working lives, it was only for a few nights at the most. So we would choose apartments that really felt like special vacation getaways. So in Helsinki, for example, we had a micro loft with a hammock. In Japan, we slept on the floor on those traditional tatami mats. And in Bali, we stayed in a really lavish 3-bedroom apartment with our family.
All of these were really memorable experiences, but totally inappropriate for a long-term stay. After some trial and error, we finally figured out exactly what we're looking for in an Airbnb, so here's our list of non-negotiables. First up is an uncluttered space.
We really struggle to be comfortable in an apartment when there's lots of someone else's stuff around. We appreciate clean, empty surfaces and also clean, empty cupboards.
We learned this the hard way by booking a few Airbnbs that were just bursting full of other people's stuff. Our very first apartment in Istanbul was like that. There was a whole office space that we couldn't even go into because it was so full of stuff.
Jillian had to spend the first couple days running around and tucking things away into cupboards. I'm even more allergic to clutter than she is, so I said, let me know when you're done.
Moving in here was a breeze in comparison. It's an uncluttered space where every item has been carefully selected. All we had to do was unpack our bags to be settled right in.
Next up is a modern kitchen and bathroom. In fact, I love it when a listing says those magic words, recently renovated.
Well, I'm not that fussed whether it's modern or traditional. As long as it's a pleasant room and it's well equipped, I'm happy.
Moving on, we both love a large, comfortable couch like the one that we're sitting on right now. Some of the smaller spaces that we've stayed in had really small couches. So in Krakow, for example, we had a tiny 2-seater couch in our tiny little studio. And I often found myself sitting on the bed because the 2 seats were already taken up by our 2 little dogs.
We've learned that we actually need seating for 4, even though only 2 of us are humans. And here in Malta, our couch has more than enough room for all of us.
We've also found that we need a proper dining table with comfortable dining chairs. We use it a lot for both eating and for working.
Yeah, this was a real issue at our place in the Ukraine. So the only available seating was either a really uncomfortable vinyl couch or some really uncomfortable IKEA stools. Fortunately, we were only there for a couple weeks, so it was an easy way to learn that lesson.
This next one is really important, a washing machine. So we didn't have one when we were in Florence, and it was a real pain to send Jillian to wash our clothes every week at the laundromat, and I just had to relax at home and read a book and wait for her to be done.
I think I'm sensing a theme here, although you do fold the clothes.
Yes.
But anyway, moving on to the last one. We knew this one was important, but didn't realize just how important it is, and that is having lots and lots of natural light.
So last year when we stayed in a historic apartment in the town of Lecce in Italy, we had a living room that was really well put together with lots of traditional touches. The only thing that was missing were any windows. So we found ourselves hanging out in the bedroom, which was the only room in the whole place with any natural light.
In this apartment, we get tons of natural light coming through all those windows. We just love it. So those are our non-negotiables when it comes to choosing an apartment.
Of course, there are some things that we can live without, and those are our nice to haves. It turns out that we're not too fussed about having a dishwasher. Even though we cook a lot, we don't mind taking that 15 or 20 minutes to clean up a few times a day. Don't get me wrong, we're very happy when there is a dishwasher, but we wouldn't rule out an apartment just because it doesn't have one.
We also don't mind an open concept studio apartment. Now, we originally thought it was important to have a separate bedroom, but after having good experiences in large studio spaces, we find we don't mind them at all. In fact, this apartment is a great example of a studio that works.
Finally, we've discovered that we can live without an oven, which was a total surprise. This is really fortunate because many apartments in warmer countries can lack an oven. So yes, it is tough to do all the cooking that we want to do on a stovetop, but in a pinch, we can get creative.
Again, it's always better when we have things like an oven or a dishwasher, but we've learned to compromise. When you have as many non-negotiables as we do, it's good to let go of a few things.
Yeah. All right, now why don't we head outside and talk about what we look for in a neighborhood. The first thing we want in an apartment is a central location. We like to be relatively close to the main attractions and obviously the good restaurants. So ideally everything will be within walking distance. Or if it's a bigger city, there'll be great connections to public transit.
We also really like to have a bit of ambiance to our neighborhood, so that could be a few cafes and restaurants or maybe a beautiful view. Here in the town of Sliema in Malta, we're lucky to have both. We've got all the restaurants and cafes along the waterfront, plus we have these amazing views of the Mediterranean.
The next thing that we look for in a neighborhood is green space. So as you know, we're traveling with our two adorable dogs. Going on walks a few times a day is their non-negotiable. So we usually need to have a park nearby.
Here in Malta, we don't have a park or technically any green space, but we do have this amazing beach that we walk on every morning.
Finally, we need easy access to groceries, whether it's a market or a grocery store. Fortunately, this store behind us in Malta has everything we need, and it's close enough that we can see it from our doorstep.
Now that's a long list of everything that we're looking for in an Airbnb. So how do we go about landing a perfect apartment every time?
Of course, it all starts with a couple hours of searching on Airbnb. There's really no way around taking the time to go through dozens or sometimes even it's hundreds of listings.
Yeah, for sure. So here's what we're looking for. First, there's the listing itself. We're looking for photos and descriptions that show us that this apartment will have all of the features and amenities that we're looking for. All that non-negotiable stuff that we talked about earlier.
Then we comb through every single comment looking for clues. We want to see if previous guests are talking about things that you just can't see in a photo, like how well equipped the kitchen is, or if the neighbors are noisy, or if it's cold in the winter.
We're also looking for clues about the host. We want to know whether the host is attentive and responsive and takes care of issues right away. So we zero in on those listings where guests just rave about their hosts.
Of course, being so fussy does not come cheap. So when we started this journey, we had a strict budget. It was $900 per month for our accommodations, but we quickly discovered that $900 doesn't go very far in some of the countries we visited.
So we eventually increased our budget to $12.50 per month, and we're even willing to go higher depending on local conditions. Now we do try to negotiate a fair price with each host, but ultimately we are willing to pay more for a space that we'll really enjoy.
And if you want to see exactly how much we paid for our Airbnbs last year, you can check out our cost of living roundup right here. You can go ahead and click on it now.